Hello, everybody. Communication Management Communication in Full. It's Module 1, Basic Communication Principles, and this is Lesson 5, all those factors that influence communication. Now, this normally when I teach this in person, it's one of my favorite lessons because we get to act it out. So bear with me. I'm going to try my best to bring this lesson to life and to demonstrate the concepts to you, just so that you can understand. Okay, so communication is not an exact science. It's not a predictable thing. It is human behavior. It is a human science, and it changes from time to time. You may find that you find it easier to communicate with people under certain circumstances and more difficult under other circumstances. I have a cousin who says that when he doesn't know people, they will think that he's stuck up because he never says a word. But once they get to know him, he never stops talking, and that is so true. And we all have those situations and those times when we communicate easier than other times. So this lesson is all about those factors that influence communication, those things that cause you to communicate more difficult or easier. And so let's jump straight into it. The first factor is emotions, your feelings. What you are feeling at a specific moment influences the way that you communicate. So imagine your phone rings, right? You pick up and somebody says, "Congratulations, you have just won 3 million rand." What do? How do you react? And you start pointing at the phone and you struggle to get the words out. And you are so excited that you can't really explain to the person next to you what is going on. And when you are excited, you tend to speak faster and you tend to speak in a way that can't be understood by other people. So your emotions, your excitement, woohoo, it causes you to become not so understandable to the people around you, when you are excited. And then you get those times when you are sad and someone asks you, "What's wrong?" And you say, I don't want to talk about it. Or you cry so much that you cannot get a word out. My nephew, he when he was younger, was notorious for crying, and you would ask him, "What's wrong now?" And he said, "They won't feel sorry for me." That type of thing. So when you cry, you can't get the message out so nicely. So your emotions play a big role in how you communicate. And then lastly, anger. I had this teacher in high school. So I went to an English high school, and this was my science teacher whose home language happened to be Afrikaans. And when he got angry, his English left him. He, for real, could not get a single word out, and usually it would end with the shouting would end with him just making sounds, because his emotions at that point are so strong that he really cannot communicate. Same thing if you are happy, if you are angry, if you are excited. What you are feeling at the moment, it really does have an influence on the way that you communicate. Secondly, your personality. Some of us are outgoing people. Some of us are not so outgoing. Some of us adapt easy, some not so easy. Some of us are, when you get into a new situation or you get into among strangers, you very easy start talking to people. But then you get those who keep quiet, like my cousin. He's very quiet until you get to know him, and then, like, really, he doesn't stop. So you get your introverts and you get your extroverts, and your personality, whether you are shy or not, with your self-confidence and things like that, they play a big role in how you communicate with people. So your extroverts versus your introverts. And you will find that introverts tend to look down when they speak, so the sound doesn't travel out, it goes down. But and also facial expressions and things, we look at that later. But um, it, your personality does play a role in how you communicate. Thirdly, we look at reasoning. So I'm told a story of people who went to a meeting who they were people from a marketing department, and they went to a meeting and they were discussing how they were going to go about marketing their organization. And so they had to be creative because they didn't have a lot of money at that point. So um, one of the members in the meeting asks for marketing material in like, you know, corporate gifts like mugs and pens and maybe pencil bags and things like that to hand out to the community when they go do marketing. And the chairperson of the meeting says, "I'm sorry, sir, but we don't have money to do that." And this person says, "I didn't ask you for money. I asked you for pencil bags and pens and mugs to hand out." And again, the chairperson says, "But I'm sorry, we don't even have money for petrol." And this man says again, "But I didn't ask you for petrol. I didn't ask you I didn't ask you for money. I asked you for pins." And it went, the conversation apparently went on for a very, very long time. Now my mother says that I'm not allowed to call people stupid, but I mean, we all know that person. Somebody who does not think logically. There's no there's no logic in their mind. And it feels like you're talking to a brick wall because there's no logical thinking. I mean, if you go back to the story that I told, in order to buy pencil bags and mugs and whatever, you need the money that there isn't. But so if somebody does not reason and doesn't think in a clear, logical sequence, it's very difficult to communicate with them. And what do? We normally just give up. We give up, and arguments ensue. You can see from the body language there, it's not a nice situation going on there. So lack of reasoning can often lead to conflict. The fourth factor is semantics, our language. Now, I'm sure we all have a friend who has a different home language than ours. Or we all know that person in the street where you go buy sweets at that shop. That person you call my friend, they speak a different language than you. They have a different accent than you. And sometimes it's very difficult to understand someone who has a different accent, who speaks a different language, who uses a different kind of slang. I mean, I'm in my years now, so when a slang expression comes up, I have to call my nephew and I ask him, what does this mean? Or how, you know, I ask him about slang. So semantics boils down to language, to actual language, the code. And the differences can lead to a breakdown in communication. So there you see many people from many backgrounds and ethnic groups speaking different languages. The one says hello and the other one says ciao and the other one says hola and the other one says bonjour and konnichiwa and all those different words there. So it just goes to show that, all these different languages and people can misunderstand each other. Lastly, frame of reference. I'm going to show you a picture. If you're from the Eastern Cape, you might know that picture. If you are me, you will start smiling because that is my hometown. Ask me about this town. I can tell you everything. I can tell you about the museums and the mountains, and that is the Dutch Reformed Church, and it's in Church Street, and. Somebody who's not from this town will not be able to communicate so easy this about this town. The frame of reference refers to your background knowledge that you already have and how it is easy to communicate about something that you know about. Okay, so a couple of years ago when my campus was just started, um, we were short of lecturers, and I was asked to teach a subject, personnel management. Okay, and at the end of the semester, I am very ashamed to say that 3 students out of 30 passed. I, that was personnel management. It's HR. I have no clue what goes on in HR. Give me communication. I swear my students don't fail, but that's because I was trained in communication. This is my reference, my frame of reference. This is what I know, and that is why I can teach it. I can speak about communication for hours, but you mention medical or law or HR, I won't have anything to say because I don't know the subject. Okay, so when you do know, you have background knowledge of a subject, you just communicate easier. So to recap this lesson, the factors that influence communication are emotions, personality, reasoning, semantics, and frame of reference. If you have any questions, please do email me at yifkeister@gmail.com. Supporting documents for this module are available in my Google Classroom. You go to classroom.google.com in your browser. You use the code FHPXIE2, and it will take you right into the classroom where these slideshows will be available, as well as notes that I type up before I actually make these slideshows. So that could be that could help you. And also assessments, questions, test questions that are based on this module that could help you, in the long run. So please do join that classroom. It will help you. I hope you're keeping safe. I hope you are keeping your social distance from people in this time. Thank you so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. And if you have any feedback, email me. If you have anything to say, or leave a comment. Thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, bye.